Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live. Today I want to talk about RenderMan Denoise feature. It's kind of a feature that's almost hidden. I think it's a little bit hard to explain, but I'll explain it using this simple scene. And this is just like a 10 frame render, but it's really, you can see the quality is really high quality and really beautiful render. I'm looking at it, the image using the image tool that comes with RenderMan. And to render something like this, I'm also taking advantage of the LocalQueue. This is like the external render generated using RenderMan add-on from Blender. So it's sending like job to do the render and then to do the denoising. Okay, why do we need to worry about all this, and why am I showing you this? Maybe you are interested to do something like this in the future. So normally, let me try explaining the whole thing first. I created this simple scene very quickly. This is something that you can actually do very quickly, like making like a simple primitive gallery or exhibitions, right? It's really simple. Just make a box. In this case, it's like 2 by 2 meters, and you just draw, you just create this box to put your objects. Okay, it's really that simple. And for each object, I have different materials. For example, this is like Pixar materials, and this is the glass, frosted glass, which is also pretty cool as shader. And this is just brass. If I use IPR render, you can see this is the result in real time, and you can make changes to the material, etc. So basically just a simple scene, right? You can see there's a lot of noise and also fireflies, and you might wonder how to get rid of it. If you try to render this out using, let's stop the IPR. If you just render this using this render or render animations, you will see that the image will be noisy. Okay, that's something that we need to take care of using Denoise tool. There's this article about debugging and optimization from 2018. This is actually really good articles. It talks about if you are doing a render and you often get all kind of noise or fireflies and you want to get rid of it, or this is if the displacement goes too far, and why my render is too long, etc. You can have a read of this article. I will give you the link. So back with our thingy. I already have a camera. I set up like 10 frame renders. I want to show you what's how I enable denoising. In order to enable denoising, at least for now, using this RenderMan add-on, you need to make sure under the view layer here, you use the RenderMan template, and by default you will have beauty and Z. Make sure you set the output as OpenEXR and set your camera and enable denoise here. For the Z-axis, you don't need to denoise. Just the beauty, you enable denoise. Okay. For the output, you're gonna have at least color and alpha, I think. But after you do that, when you render the animations, don't use the one at the top. Use external rendering. Okay. Just hit external rendering, and it's gonna do batch render. So let's save this as, this is primitive27. This is the name of the file. I will do external render, but this time I will render it at a lower sampling. So for this is 32, I can make it even lower, 10. This is the IPR is 64. By default this is 128. I set it to 10. Okay, so it's gonna be faster. I didn't change anything else. I don't need motion blur here. I will use external renderer. Spool style can use Blender batch or rip, whichever you like. Let's do this. After I hit that button, external render, it's gonna send the job to LocalQueue. Okay. You will see this is like for 10 frames and we have 22 jobs. It should be rendering right now and you can see how many percent it has finished the job. While it's rendering, I have prepared the one that I have earlier. Okay, this is the one that I rendered earlier. It's gonna take like 1 minute or 2 minutes per frame. I think it's not a long time because with RenderMan, if you can have like really complex scenes and it's gonna take around the same time sometimes, depending how you optimize your scene. Okay, so yeah, let's actually just close this image tool and we have this thing running, rendering, right? It's gonna render into the temporary folder. This is the default. And inside temporary folder, you might see, okay, there's this thing. There's PNG being generated, but it's actually blank. Don't worry about this. What you want to see is this RenderMan for Blender. We are rendering this this project called Primitive 2. This is the image output. You will see there's this variance. There is this Z render. Okay, for variance, what is this? This is the final image. Let's take a look using it. Okay, with image tool, we can see this is very noisy and you can see fireflies. That happens maybe because the light is too close to my object, or could be anything else. Maybe the value is getting too high, so we have a lot of these fireflies that we need to get rid of using denoising. How do we get rid of that? First of all, I want to show you that there's a lot of things going on here. Okay, it looks like just a single file, but this is EXR. It's got a lot of data underneath. I'm just toggling with arrow key. So we have albedo, we have diffuse, specular, or yeah, there's a lot of, basically a lot of data. But RenderMan can use this to do the denoising. Okay, and the denoising will happen down below, over here. So we need to render this out. The EXR file is gonna be big. See, it's like almost 60 megabyte per file. It's just like I think this is just RenderMan thing. It needs all these, and later on there's this denoising that's gonna run in the background. We will see the result a little bit later. For now, we can, because we send the job outside, we can really actually just play around with this. If I want to rebuild this from scratch, I can do that. But I want to show you also what I have created earlier. You might have seen my other video when I have this and rotating around. This is a similar thing, just an, you know, like imagine you have like a virtual gallery, and it's just really simple. You set up the stage, you set up the floor, the stage, and then, you know, you just throw in all kind of RenderMan material, and you just want to have like a nice render without the noise and without the flickering fireflies. Okay, so that's really just what I want to show you here. It sounds a little bit complicated. I mean, the thing with RenderMan is like it's very advanced render engine, and you can it has a lot of tools that's enabling you to do a lot of stuff, but at the very basic, you really just have like a 3D composition, right? First of all, you have 3D objects, and you put it into composition, and then you can just use the RenderMan material from the presets. You can also get the preset from here, from the preset browser. And we have this environment, light rigs, materials. Material is really what I love about RenderMan. I think this is something that's, you might find, this is your value. You know, if you're paying like 300 or 500 per year, you get this material library. If you already have this with Blender and Cycles or Eevee, that's also already an advantage. But with RenderMan, it's like a sometimes totally different thing. The material works slightly differently, but it's very similar. Basically, some of the material is really beautiful. But anyway, it's this is quite a value. Okay, so material, 3D objects, material. You have a bunch of lights and camera. That's pretty much what it is. Just the troubleshooting happens when you start to deal with the large scenes, you know, and you're dealing with 100,000 of objects, for example, or thousands of materials. It's RenderMan is kind of proven, I think. I'm only working on a single machine, but in a larger studio, you have multiple machines, and you also want to use like a render farm. Here I'm just rendering using a single machine, and you can see how long this is gonna take. For 500 frames, maybe it's gonna take like 5-7 hours overnight. So I do that sometimes. But anyway, okay, similar scenes. Let me explain again. Similar scenes, and if I select the floor, my floor is 4 by 3, or it's almost like 4 by 4. This is the unit size in Blender. This is actually real size. Imagine this is gallery, and you're walking around. You will be like around 2 meters. Okay, so this is your gallery, and this is our virtual gallery. And let's do an IPR while it's rendering. I think it's okay. So here we have, this is Pixar Surface material, which is pretty cool. Pixar Surface is pretty advanced and robust, sophisticated. A lot of options you can turn on and off and play with the dial and knob. And then we have these objects. Okay, this is phenolic material. This material is kind of cool. It's like a ceramic that's been polished. There's this marble that's kind of flickering. This is the blue marble material. I think I didn't set up the UV properly, but I think the marble is kind of flickering if you rotate the camera. Anyway, don't worry about that. We also have this BS Blender Sushi text. The material is this frosted glass, also quite a beautiful material, quite expensive also. And then we have copper hammer that's being hammered, beautiful materials. And the floor is also the wooden floor. Yeah, all this kind of stuff it's really simple, but yeah, I mean my geometry is also super simple. I should, and maybe I could have added like a bevel at least. Give it a bit of bevel on the floor, so for the stage, just additional detail. I can smooth this. Looks a little bit nicer, right? Like this floor, I can also select the edge if I ever want to do this, and then extrude it. You can have walls that's a little bit like that. I can smooth it also if I want to. we can have another bevel before the solidify, so this bevel can create that. Maybe this is your gallery, you know. Yeah, it's your choice to do this. And we have something on the wall, this donut, this marble donuts. You can quickly visualize this, something like this. Anyhow, our render is done, right? Yeah, with the denoise, it's actually complaining. CUDA enabled, but no CUDA device was found. Okay, my iMac M1 doesn't have CUDA, so I don't have fast denoising, so I need to use the CPU. And then which means this doesn't work, but it's also complaining, okay, no file, no such file or directory. Okay, this could be a bug. Pixar developer probably need to fix this, but it's complaining that it couldn't read the image file, blah blah blah, no such file or directory. Because okay, this is the command, right? This is the command line, and the file that I have here, the name has ending variance.exr. So I need to change this. I need to add variance. I think the naming was wrong. So let's rerun this restart command. Something like this is usually a job of render wrangler in the studio or bigger for bigger film productions, maybe with 300 people. You often have render wrangler, so you send the job to render, and if there is any problem, the render wrangler will try to fix it, so the artist doesn't need to worry about any error. Okay, so yeah, a lot of talk. This one seems to be okay. The denoise is actually pretty fast. I just need to restart this command. You will see that after I ran the command, now we have this filter. Okay, this is the one that I want to show you. This is exactly what it is. So the denoise works. In this case, we don't see too much detail because this is only 10 samples. If I increase the samples, the result's gonna be a lot better. Just gonna take a lot longer. So that's the filter one. So if I want to rebuild something like this, once again, it's totally up to you. Maybe I should show you. Yeah, of course you can use EV cycles or RenderMan engine, like a render engine, whatever you like. Since we actually have RenderMan kind of for free, for non-commercial, and you can kind of study and learn this on your own time, I think it's kind of nice to be able to do this. So this is how I set it up very quickly. Okay, so maybe your exhibition space is 4 by 3 meters. This is the floor. Okay, start with the floor, and you want to set up your stage. If you put the objects on the stage, it's gonna look nicer. It's a for space kind of thing, you know, working in a 3D space. And of course, we're gonna have the monkey head. And the way I put the monkey head is just put it on the edge like that. It's kind of funny. And you can have it smooth. Let's use a smooth Suzanne today. And we can have a torus. Let's make like a fat torus. And then right click, shade smooth, and then subdivide. So file, save as, my little gallery. This is a big donut. Should be good for beginner 3D artists to start with this. I mean, yeah, I used 3D for a long time, but I think every now and then I like to do this kind of exercise. Simple things. Study of still life and just play around with the lighting and camera. You can try doing this. Add a little bit of depth. Okay, this is just quick setup. I don't think this text object is renderable with RenderMan. You need to convert it to mesh. So right click. Right click, convert to mesh. File, save as. Just make this a little bit nicer. Bevel. Smooth. Okay. Simple. Nothing much. Switch to RenderMan. With RenderMan, we get all sort of material we can play with already. So first of all, let's quick test render. This is the default light. Let's stop this. Let's use the browser actually. RenderMan preset browser. Indoor, outdoor light. Just use the simple 3-point light. Import. Haha, interesting. Yeah, interesting. It's giving me an error. Just click it and can we just right click and RenderMan presets? Yeah, that works. Okay, I think the add-on is not it's not perfect. It's continuously being developed. Okay, keep that in mind. It's not like this tool is gonna be updated like maybe daily. Okay, so now it's looking much better. We're just gonna add material using the preset browser. Okay. All right, so one thing about this is that we need to select an object first and then preset browser, and now we can select material. Suzanne, let's give like a nice fabric. Okay, let's give a nice surface. Import and assign to selected. Okay, let's check it out. Yeah, it's got a white fabric. It's not too obvious. Seems like a super basic material, but it's just a simple fabric. This can have different material, metal, hematite, okay. Import and assign. Okay, and this, I've been using wood for the floor, so let's just use wood. Let's use this, import and assign. file, save. Let's use metal or glass over here. Preset browser. This plastic material looks really nice with RenderMan. Is there like stone material, rocks, minerals? Oh yeah, that's blue marble. Oh, okay, this can look, yeah, I think this might look cool. Import and assign. So what do we have so far? RPR. Oh, by the way, our render should be completed now. We have all this filter. This is the one with clean denoising. Denoise. We can check it using it image tool. If your license doesn't work properly, there's gonna be like a pop-up. I think if you don't have internet, it's not gonna work. Just open it. You can see this one, there's a 10 frame being loaded. And you can scrub it, or you can tap spacebar. It's gonna put the frame into memory. You can see the animation. So if you think the denoise is a little bit strong and there's like a kind of like a wobbly, then you need to increase the filter. You need to increase the sampling. Okay, let's continue with our work so far. I quite like this. My lettering, this with hematite, is not looking fancy, so I just gonna use liquid whiskey. Cool. So this is sushi whiskey. This I'm just gonna Command L, assign the materials. The rest of them, like this box, okay, it needs a material. Just gonna give a brush metal look. Aluminum brush circle. Okay. Fancy. Should be okay. If you wanna have like something that's kind of fancy, it's like the box that's normally. Recently, this is quite popular. Okay. You might wonder what am I talking about? This kind of like a box that's act like a neon. So I'm using skin modifier. I'm adjusting this. Kind of like a framing, right? And then I can subdivide. I can smooth shade there. So you have the kind of like a structure, and this can become like a neon. Hit apply. So we have this thing. Let's give it a material. For our material, I will turn this into mesh light. This is RenderMan thing. It's gonna turn this thing into a light. So hopefully this works. Is it frozen? It's probably calculating. I need to maybe make a camera. I just click there. Reframe our scene. IPR. think I can start setting up the denoising. This is what I'm talking about. View layers. We need to switch to RenderMan display, and then here we need to enable denoising. Set the camera. That's the neon. The neon is working. The metal thing doesn't look nice there. I need to just keep it simple. So let's add a new material of, keep it simple, maybe just stone. White marble. 1, 2, 3. Copy the material, Command L. This is the light. Light intensity exposure 8. Can I have pink neon? We already have other light. Maybe we can decrease the other light. What I quite like is that when RenderMan has a tool to mix the light. This one, open light mixer editor, create a new one, select our light. Okay, and then IPR, hit OK and IPR. Open light mixer editor and start playing with this. So it's actually updating in real time. Okay, the neon, yeah, it's okay, sort of working. But you will see there's noise, some noise there, right? And you want to get rid of it. Get rid of the noise. Now my Blender seems like starting to glitch. Maybe just do a render. External render. Just render a single frame. This use GPU for denoising only works if you have CUDA, NVIDIA CUDA. I need a better graphic card computer, but I only have the M1. That's okay. So, yeah, again, this is doing the render. 0.93. Filmmaker. Oh yeah, I didn't set the color management, color space. Well, there's a lot of options with RenderMan. It's like sometimes just maybe too much. With EXR, you can actually bring it. If you ever want to convert it into PNG, you can use Blender Compositor. This is using Affinity Photo. Okay, yeah. With Affinity, you can see the layer, which is pretty cool. You might need this at some point. Still doing the render. Let's check it out using the TMP. Okay, this is the gallery. It's gonna generate. Sometimes if you enable the rib, it's gonna generate the rib file before it's doing the render. We have the variance still generating and the Z. This might take a while actually, because by default the sample is quite high, 128, but the quality, the final quality is going to be really nice. The IPR is maximum at 64 sampling, this one 128. How long is it going to take? It didn't say how many percents. So at this point, if I really want, we can create turntable camera. Okay, so first I will create like an empty sphere. Blender preference, find turntable, turn around camera. I think it's already on by default. Sorry, my Blender is starting to glitch. And then after you turn on that add-on, you have this turn around camera. You can select this sphere object and just enable this turn around. This is your camera. Now your camera is under this empty and it's gonna rotate. Jump back into the camera and we can see it's rotating. Okay, so let's get back to this. While this thing is still rendering in the background, we can adjust the light. I guess you might be curious about the final render, how it's gonna look. Yeah, me too. Probably we can save this as a new blend file beforehand. So today you learn how basically make like a simple mini gallery, and you put like a bunch of primitive objects. If you don't want just a primitive objects, you can actually download some 3D assets from Sketchfab, for example. Sketchfab had a lot of 3D scans objects, or maybe like a lot of assets, and also 3D artworks by other 3D artists that you can give credits and you can actually purchase. So I think that's a really cool kind of opportunity. You know, it's everything worked together. If you're working in 3D, like especially now we have like Blender and RenderMan powerful render engine. This one's still rendering. It's gonna take a while. Okay, 82%. Okay, let's just keep doing something here. I'm trying to think of something. So this composition maybe is not the best composition. Maybe this sushi should be up here, or maybe you want to have other things like this. Maybe this thing is better as a cylinder. You can use cylinder. Back with the light thing. There's a light linking. This is nice. You can actually watch YouTube by Ask NK regarding light linking, but light mixer editor is really interesting for me. This is our cube, which is the neon. I just drop it here as well, so maybe the neon should be just white and really bright. Temperature on and off. IPR. Let's do the IPR render, but my windows maybe need to be smaller so it's faster. There is a way to just render based on this cropping window. Maybe I should use that. Now it's rendering in the background while I'm doing IPR over here. Might not be a good idea. Just wait. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like what I'm doing. At this point, you might think, okay, EV cycles can do this faster. Yeah, sometimes. But the quality from RenderMan is quite something. And if you actually have like render farm and multiple machines, then RenderMan is one of the options. Yeah, many people might think, okay, RenderMan is slow, but well, it's just like, because there's so much thing going on. As the scene like gets more and more complex, if you have more objects, then it's RenderMan might handle it better than Cycles or Eevee. This one almost completed. Let's try IPR once again. It's trying to calculate. Maybe my computer doesn't have enough memory. Anyhow, after the render completed, the next thing we want to do is denoising. Oh yeah, I forgot. If we are doing like denoising, we don't need to use too much samples. I use 128 samples, which is kind of stupid. Anyway, the render is completed. Again, it's complaining there is no file, no such file directory. This should be variance.exr. Right click, restart the commands. Now it's doing the denoising. My sample value was too high. But I made a mistake, so you don't need to make a mistake. Now it's doing denoising based on this variance. Gonna open this using Affinity. So this is inside Affinity. You can see there's a CI-RGB. Okay, there's a lot of things going on. CI-RGB looks very red. Okay, because of the neon. Albedo, diffuse. Okay. The filtered result is like this. Okay, apparently the neon makes everything kind of pinkish. This is the result. At least I wish there's like a glow happening. but you can see this is a whiskey material, metal. This is cloth material. The wood looks like a wood. Yeah, and it's clean, no noise, no fireflies. If it's animated, it's gonna look perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to show you. So I think I talk too much. Yeah, if you want to like make something like this, now you know how to do it. RenderMan material is beautiful, and the light and everything, the render, it might takes time for you to understand that RenderMan is kind of complicated, but at the base level, you just need to provide like a 3D scenes, camera, and light. Okay, everything else, it's gonna be, you might find a lot of problems. You need to troubleshoot. You can go to Discord RenderMan and ask questions, and I actually get a lot of help from some of the guy here, Taze, Ian. Yeah, okay, this is just another article talking about the steps to create this kind of render. It's a beautiful render. Denoise tool. Alright, so that's pretty much it. How to set up denoising using Blender. It's really just this view layer and just a couple of steps. Just enable denoise here and then render using external rendering. But I'm showing a lot of things so that you kind of understand what's going on, because you need to use external render. You cannot just render it here and get the denoise. You need to do it using external render. Okay, all right, so I can give you this scene. It's really easy to set up. You can make yourself, but hopefully you learned something. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.